What's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. Now, a video has been floating around, man, that we about to check out of Candace Owens, and the title alone, to me, I haven't heard this. It seems as if it's a bit clickbaitish. When you put, "I do not support George Floyd and here's why," first of all, to me, that kind of seems like, okay, everybody's gonna click this because at a time where everybody who saw the video, it's hard not to support George Floyd. So I'm interested to see what's her take. Now, I do believe everybody has a right to their own opinion. I do. I believe there's also two ways to look at things, two sides to a coin. So you have to hear both sides. I'm always an advocate for that. You know what I'm saying? How else do we begin to get things better if we don't hear both sides? So you got to hear both sides of the coin to be able to start to try to come together. So I'm a huge advocate of that. So we're going to check out this Candace Owens side of it and listen to it, and then we'll see.
Hello, Facebook family. I have decided to do this video. It has been weighing very heavily on my heart and on my mind as well. And it was something that I wanted to say early on, but there were so many emotions and so much pressure for me to go with the popular opinion about who George Floyd was. And sometimes it can be difficult when there are just so many external pressures to say what you believe. And this was an instance where I felt like my silence would have been better in the beginning, but the more that I think about it, I realize that we are being sold a lot of lies, and at the detriment to the Black community, at the detriment to the white community, and at the detriment to America as a whole. So I want to come out and say that I do not support George Floyd and the media depiction of him as a martyr for Black America. I'm going to explain why, and I hope that some of you guys will understand where I'm coming from. I have spent a considerable amount of time reading a lot of Black authors that I think are some of the most brilliant Black Americans breathing. Walter Williams, Shelby Steele, Thomas Sowell, and I recently came across something that was an idea that was planted into my head by Shelby Steele, and it has been something that I cannot forget. It is something that will stick with me for the rest of my life. And it is something that I hope for the Black Americans that are watching will stick with you for the rest of your life. Shelby Steele said that the Black community is unique from other communities. Our culture is unique from other communities because we are the only community that caters to the bottom denominator of our society. Now, let me explain what that means. It means to say that not every Black American is a criminal, not every Black American is committing crimes, but we are unique in that we are the only people that fight and scream and demand support and justice for the people in our community that are up to no good. You would be hard pressed to find, a Jewish person who has spent 5 stints in prison, who commits a crime and dies while committing a crime, and that the Jewish people champion and demand justice for. You will be hard-pressed to find this in white America. You'll be hard-pressed to find this even in Latino America. If there is a person that is spent multiple times in prison, you are not going to see a bunch of Latinos coming out demanding justice for this person, even if, and I want to be very clear, what I'm saying is not any defense for Derek Chauvin. I hope Derek Chauvin gets the justice that he deserves to be, implemented upon him, and that the family of George Floyd deserves justice for the way that he died. But I also am not going to accept the narrative that this is the best the Black community has to offer. For whatever reason, it has become fashionable over the last 5 or 6 years for us to turn criminals into heroes overnight. And it is something that I find to be despicable. And this.
Maybe it's the way she's saying it that's rubbing me wrong. You know what I'm saying? You've heard me on this platform say several times, bro, I'm not gonna judge you by your past, because if we judge a lot of people by their past, then we would have no success stories, man. You go through things in life and you learn from them. Now, some people have to hit their head on that wall several times. Some people continue to hit their head on that wall several times, and they never seem to get the picture. But some people who do hit their head on that wall a few times eventually get it and realize that wall hurts. Let me try this. You know what I'm saying? And I've always been an advocate and taught that a lot of times, not every time, but sometimes you're a product of your environment. So if you don't have the people to look up to, you don't have the people in your neighborhood to teach you and show you that there's a better way than what you see every day when you walk outside your door and down your steps, then it's going to be hard for you not to hit your head on that wall, because that wall is all you know. So until you know that there's a different wall or a different path or a different way, then it's going to be hard for you in the beginning. It is, because you are a product of your environment. You are. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you don't know. So her saying, champion people who've been arrested, it's some people in high places that had a troubled past, that had to learn. Some athletes that that had a troubled past and had to get on the right path. You know what I'm saying? Made some mistakes. If I judged you by the mistakes you made, that's not right. If I judged you by the mistakes you made and I said, man, I'm going to hold your feet accountable because I ain't going to let you rise because of what you did in the past, you could be a completely changed person. You know what I'm saying? So I that part right there, everything else she's been saying so far is just that part that just rubbed me the wrong way. But let's keep going.
Is something that I refuse to stand by any longer, and I am not going to play a part in it, no matter how much pressure comes from Black liberals and Black conservatives as some token of people wanting you to believe that this is the only way you can be Black, is you have to say this was wrong and that this person was amazing. I won't do that. George Floyd was not an amazing person, and as soon as this video hit the internet, I did just basic searches. Everyone jumped on it and was looking at the police officer, and everyone agrees that the police officer was wrong and the police officer has been arrested. So that is not the reason I'm not discussing that, is because that is not something that has been misconstrued in the media. He has been turned into the devil that he is, and there is no reason for us to harp on that any longer, because white Americans are not uplifting.
So we agree that Chauvin, I agree with her with that. Yes, but I think her timing is wrong to say that what she just said about George Floyd, man. Sometimes it's your timing. Like, why say that now? Why say that about him now? You know what I'm saying? Like, let the man, rest before you start saying, I don't support him and that. Like, you know what I mean? Just timing is everything. Let's not forget that.
Derek Chauvin as a victim or pretending that he's an amazing human being. But George Floyd is being uplifted as an amazing human being. For those of you who have not yet seen the clips and did not pursue or wait for more clips to come out, first and foremost, George Floyd at the time of his arrest was high on fentanyl and he was high on methamphetamine. This came back in both of his autopsy reports.
I don't care about that right now. If he was high or whatever, he still didn't deserve to be treated like that. You know what I'm saying? So his timing. You know what I'm saying? That's like somebody getting murdered. You know what I'm saying? And you running up and saying, oh man, this man was, he smoked weed every day. What does that have to do with his murder right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, stop trying to paint a person out as this way. I don't care. You didn't deserve to die that way. You know what I'm saying? I didn't sit here and say George Floyd was a saint. I didn't sit here and say George Floyd never did any wrong. I didn't say George Floyd, you know what I'm saying? I didn't say none of that. People are out there letting their voices be heard because of the heinous act that was committed towards George Floyd. You know what I'm saying? His character. Let's keep going though. You know what I mean? Like I said, some things I agree with Candace, some things I don't. That's why we got to hear both sides, bro. and get to this common goal, because she is very intelligent. I've heard of Candace Owens before. Very, very intelligent, very, very articulate person.
If you pursue the 911 transcript, you can see the person describing somebody who is out of their mind high, and which is what made the person fearful, because he tried to use a bill that I guess was a fake bill to purchase something, and then he was outside acting weird, and they, in their police call, said that this person was obviously distorted on drugs. When he is put into handcuffs and is put against the wall, a baggie of what looks to be like cocaine or it's white. It's a white baggie that he drops onto the floor that you can see in an image. If you look up the clip, the media is refusing to circulate it. You can find it on Twitter. If you use DuckDuckGo and look up George Floyd baggie, you can watch the clip yourself with your own eyes. He had drugs on him at the time of his arrest. Now, barring all of that, nobody thinks that he should have died during this arrest, but
that's where we agree at, Candace. That's where we agree at.
I find despicable to be is that everyone is pretending that this man lived a heroic lifestyle when he didn't. And I want to talk about what his lifestyle was leading up to this moment, and why I refuse to accept the narrative that this person is a martyr or should be lifted up in the Black community, and that we should be buying t-shirts with his name on it, okay? So here we have, first and foremost, let's start from the bottom of his record. And by the way, I am not saying that if you have a record, you don't deserve a second chance. I think people get arrested, and some people can serve time in prison, and I believe in second chance.
That's where we agree at. I said that whole spiel just earlier, so we agree right there. Where I disagree with her is her saying that I don't think he was. I think people are uplifting his name and using his name because what happened to him has sparked the peaceful protest. Now, I'm not talking about the rioting, the looting, and everything, like the peaceful protest that's been going on. His death caused that. Every action has a reaction. So his death, unfortunately, his death caused that reaction, and they're saying that, his name is being lifted up because he is the reason why people are out here demanding justice, demanding that their voices be heard, demanding that it's a time for change. They're not out here saying George Floyd, his full life, he was a saint, he never did anything wrong, so we're gonna march in the streets for that. No, you know what I'm saying? So that's where I kind of disagree with Candace.
But I do draw the line when it comes to second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth chances. 1998, he spent 10 months in prison for theft with a firearm. That was the first prison stint that I could find on him. In 2002, he spent 8 months in prison for a cocaine offense. In 2004, just 2 years later, he spent another 10 months in prison for a cocaine offense. In 2005, he spent another 10 months in prison for having less than 1 gram of cocaine on him again. In 2007, and this was the biggest instant that I had that made me realize this was a horrible human being that I am not going to pretend was a good person. In 2000,
Dang. She called him a horrible human being, bro. Goodness. Wow.
a woman who was pregnant received a knock at the door, and she went to the door, and the person pretended to be someone that worked for the water department. So she opened her door and quickly realized that the person at her door did not work for the water department and attempted to slam it. At the moment that she was attempting to slam it, a Ford pulled up and another 5 men jumped out of the car, and one of which was George Floyd, came up to the door, and they forced their way inside to her home, inside of her home. Mind you, this woman is pregnant. At that point, George Floyd took out a gun and pressed it to her stomach.
Wow.
She was screaming, begging for her life, and he put her inside of her living room and instructed one of his criminal friends that was with him to watch her and to make sure she didn't leave the living room. So he was playing guard while they ransacked her home looking for drugs and money. They did not find drugs. They ended up taking, I believe, her wallet and her cell phone. Fortunately for her, her neighbor observed what was going on and caught the license plate of the people as they pulled off and called 911. And when 911 was able to, they were able to track down the car of which George Floyd was the driver, and they arrested him. And 2 years later, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison for that instance. Now,
I don't condone any of that. I don't condone any of that. So her bringing up this stuff, allegedly, if this happened, because I don't know, I'm just going based upon what I'm hearing from Candace right now. If that allegedly happened, I don't condone any of that. And yes, he should have went to jail for that. And yes, he should have been prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So I just had to make that clear. I'm not agreeing with any type of crime, theft, any type of that type of stuff right now. I'm not agreeing with that, okay? So it sounds like she said he was arrested and prosecuted. Let's keep going.
You can say the media is portraying it like he was just getting his life together after, being released in 2014 following that incident. He was just getting his life together and moved and was going to start afresh. I'd like to believe all of those things, and there's a gap.
We agree there. I like to believe all of those things too. You know what I'm saying? I say a lot of times on this channel, man, I can only take people at what? Face value, right?
And he never got in trouble for 5 years until this incident when the police were called on him again. But you are defying common sense to believe that this person suddenly became an exemplary character but happened to be high on fentanyl and methamphetamine and trying to use a bill, a fake bill to purchase something. And so in my opinion, George Floyd was a criminal. He was a criminal. And just because he was a criminal doesn't mean he deserved to die at the knee of a police officer. But it does mean that I am not going to play a part of the broken Black culture that always wants to martyr criminals, who wants to pretend they were these upstanding human beings that just wanted to help society, that just wanted to reach out and uplift society. And he has a rap sheet that is long, that is dangerous. He was an example of a violent criminal his entire life, okay? Up until the very last moment. Now, again, I want to be clear. This is not a defense for Derek Chauvin. No one that I have spoken to, no one in the news is defending Derek Chauvin. He is getting what he has coming to him. Okay, great. But why are we pretending that this criminal should be upheld as a citizen, as a martyr in Black America? A martyr for a fake narrative, by the way. Police brutality, racially motivated police brutality is a myth. Okay, so let's get into that. Not only are we using this death, right, and allowing it.
I almost cut the video off right there. Did she say police brutality was a myth? Wow. Did she just say police brutality was a myth? So everything we've seen in history, everything we've seen has been a myth? Wow. Let's keep going. She has a right to be heard and give her opinion.
To cause these riots and protests, pretending this was some upstanding citizen in the Black community who was tackled down and killed for no reason, right? Not only are we allowing it to inspire riots in which Black people are dying, in which actual upstanding Black citizens are dying. Case in point, I'm sure you guys have all now seen David, the sheriff that just was shot and killed because he was trying to protect a pawn shop. Please look him up if you haven't seen it. I'm blanking on his last name.
Absolutely. Rest in peace. Rest in peace to him. He did not deserve to die. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to him.
His first name is David, who was shot and killed for trying to protect a pawn shop from looters, an upstanding citizen, an actual head of a police. He was the head of a police his entire life, 77 years old, did everything right? So we now have to kill upstanding Black citizens because a non-upstanding Black citizen, a career Black criminal, died. Now, did he deserve to die in that manner? No. I can't say it enough. No, he didn't deserve to die in that manner. But I will be damned if the rest of us upstanding Black citizens have to suffer because of this incident that rarely ever happens in America. So here are some numbers for you people that are still believing that police brutality is a real, racially motivated police brutality is a real thing. First and foremost, okay, you have a 25% higher chance as a violent white criminal of dying at the hands of a police officer than you do as a black criminal. Last year, a total of 9 unarmed black men were killed by police officers, and 19 white men were killed by police officers. For those of you that aren't good at mathematics, right, you might be thinking, oh, but Candace, white people represent 60% of the population and black people represent just 13% of the population. It doesn't matter what percentage of the population you represent. It matters what percentage of the violent criminal community you represent. And unfortunately, black community commits a disproportionate amount of crimes compared to the white community. Let me tell you, 6% of the population, right, black men, 6% of the population account for 44% of all murders in this country, according to 2018 statistics. That is what you call a gap. And yet white people who represent 60% of the population, we represent 13, black men are 6%, only represent 50% of all the murders, right? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. A 6-point variation in a community where we are extreme minorities. We commit 50% of all violent offenses, evenly split, and we're only 13% of the population, okay? So we have a lot more encounters with police officers. And don't say the police officers are coming around because we're black. I'm talking about violent criminals. I'm talking about murder, 44% of murders, okay? You want to talk about real statistics? The police officers have way more to be fearful of in the black community than the other way around, okay? We commit, on average, a police officer is 18 and a half times more likely to be killed by a black person than the other way around, okay? So this entire narrative is complete smoke and mirrors. It's all made up. It's just election fodder. It's white versus black because it's an election year, not because black Americans are suffering at the hands of police officers more than white Americans. Do some police officers do the wrong thing? Yes. I don't think there's anybody in the world who has not encountered a police officer and thought this person is an absolute jerk who is power tripping, whether you are black or white. We know they exist. And we know they're always going to exist, by the way, because they're human beings. And sometimes human beings suck. In fact, if you want to attack a community for accidental slayings or brutality, did you know that doctors accidentally kill 250,000 people every year because of mistakes? Did you know there's been doctors that have been arrested for being serial killers that just were killing people because they wanted to? Do we protest and boycott doctors? Do we assume all doctors are horrible human beings because some doctors are? Or do we realize that society is not perfectible? People suck in every profession. It is no excuse to paint society with a broad brush. It is certainly no excuse to accept a Democrat narrative, okay, that black people are being disproportionately hunted down by police officers because of the color of their skin. You want to know the best way to avoid not being brutalized by a police officer is to limit the amount of encounters you need to have with them, especially when it comes to violent crimes. Okay, I am not going to stand for this continual bottom-feeding narrative of us.
One thing I will say: did anybody see the video floating around of the 2 college students coming home? Driving home that night that were snatched up. Like I said, Candace makes some great points. She is a highly intelligent, but I feel like sometimes she wants to drive her point away from what she feels like everybody else feels. If you go and look at that video of the 2 college students coming home and how they were snatched out and tased and treated in that video, you will understand why a lot of people are out here peacefully protesting. You will understand a lot of people being angry. You will understand why it's not just black people out there protesting. It's black, white, every race out there standing in solidarity, which I love, by the way. That's what I love to see. You know what I'm saying? So look at some of that stuff, and then you can understand why I agree, but I disagree with some of the things that Candace says. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep going.
Martyring people that have had 5, 6, 7 stints in prison and then pretending they were upstanding heroes to our community. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Excuse my language. It's absolute bullshit. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of having to play pretend. I'm tired of sitting here and being called a coon or an Uncle Tom because I won't play this bottom-feeding game with you. If you want to hang up posters of criminals on your wall and talk about them as your martyrs, do it. Do it. You can do it. Kobe Bryant was my idol, okay? I'll keep a photo of Kobe Bryant. You can keep one of George Floyd and pretend he was an upstanding human being that just once or twice put a gun across a pregnant woman's belly. Could you imagine that woman right now? That black woman, by the way, right? Watching everybody pretend this person was an upstanding human being who just at the age of 42 and 5 prison stints was going to get his life together. I mean, it's embarrassing. We are embarrassing in that regard, right? This is why we have a cycle and a toxic culture, because nobody wants to tell the truth in Black America. It's so easy to be a victim. It's so easy to ask white people to bow down and apologize and do all these things for us. It's crap. It's crap. It's a lie. It's a farce. Our biggest problem is us, okay? It's why we don't talk about it when black on black crime happens. It's why we don't talk about it when 40 black people are killed in one weekend during Memorial Weekend in Chicago. We don't want to talk about any of that stuff. We don't want to talk about Baltimore. We don't want to talk about New Jersey. We don't talk about any of these places where black people are being slaughtered by other blacks, because that would mean that we had to be personally accountable, right? That would mean personal responsibility. We don't do personal responsibility in our community. We don't do it. We blame white people, right? We only point a camera to white people when they do something, even though we do it at a way higher rate to ourselves, right? We celebrate our drug dealers. We're the only community, right, that would ever create hashtags to free people from prison because they committed crimes, like free Meek Mill, free this rapper, free this rapper. How hard is it to not spend multiple times in prison? How difficult is that? Is that too hard for us? Is that way too high of a mountain for us?
That was a bad example to use. Anybody who followed the Meek Mill story and know that judge had it out for Meek Mill. Y'all remember that? They had to, like, it was people on the prosecution side that were like, yo, like, this judge has it out for him. Had it out for him. So I think that was a bad example there, Candace, to go back. You need to go back and check out the full Meek Mill story. I honestly do, man. But let's keep going.
Us to scale, to do the right thing, to be upstanding citizens. That is the call to action that I have for Black America with Blexit. Like, why do we keep fulfilling this narrative? What do you think the perception of us, by the way, is on the outside? You ever look at the comments? You ever go into like an anonymous blog and see what people say? Oh, just black people being black people. I see those racist comments. Oh, just black people got to riot. Black people got to be black people. You know how they are. Oh, just black people being ignorant. That is the perception. When people get to be anonymous and talk about us, that's what they think about us, right? They think that we are the kind of people that will forever uphold criminals as...
And this is where I would throw back her percentages at. This is where I would shoot back the percentages at. When she goes in those blogs, that's a small percent. That's just like the comment section of every YouTuber's video. You know what I'm saying? If you go under the comment section of every YouTuber's video, there's some hate comments under there. Whatever type of video they post, you get some bad comments, but the good outweighs the bad. So that's what I tell any YouTuber that contacts me or reaches out or asks my advice on YouTube. Like, how do you deal with the bad comments? I said, for every one bad comment you have, there's a hundreds and thousands of good comments. So you can't focus on the bad comments. A lot of people like to focus on the bad. Focus on the good comments. Give those people, you know what I'm saying? Give the people who give you the good comments, give them their recognition. Interact with them. Talk to them. You know, don't focus on the bad. But a lot of people like to focus on the bad. And I ultimately think that's the problem. Stop focusing on the bad. Focus on the good.
The martyrs of our society, that we will never take account for the things that we do wrong, right? That we don't have it within us to educate ourselves to get ahead. And that for those of us that actually do it, well, we get called coons, right? You got Condoleezza Rice, she's a coon. Larry Elder, he's a coon. Dr. Ben Carson, brain surgeon, first ever to perform the surgery of splitting twins that are connected by the head. He's a coon, right? What a loser he is. What a stupid guy he is. Kanye West says he's not going to be told to do it because of the color of his skin. He's a coon. He's lost. He's in the sunken place. The sunken place. That's where we all are, right? Because we demand more and we will get more out of this society because we're going to get ahead, right? That's what's going to happen. We're going to get ahead. Black conservatives get ahead because we don't subscribe to this narrative. Because you're not going to catch me outside trying to grab a TV pretending that it's because a martyr named George Floyd got killed, okay? I'm a big believer that no matter what color you are, you do stupid things, you win stupid prizes, okay? We have to do better. We have to teach our kids better or we're not going to get ahead, right? Anyways, this is just a rant because I have been feeling super annoyed at these depictions in society. I have no apologies here to make. George Floyd is not my martyr. He can be yours. That's all I have to say to Black America.
Listen, Candace made some great points and some things that you can obviously see I disagree with. You know what I'm saying? But we got to continue to have these. The most important thing is we got to continue to have these uncomfortable conversations. We got to continue to have them. Whether or not you like what she has to say, the bottom line is she has a right to say it. So let's not get that lost in translation. You know what I'm saying? We can agree to disagree, and we continue to fight and continue to push this thing forward so we can all get on one accord, man. That's the ultimate goal, for everybody to be able to come together, and let's just remove this hate that's going on in our country. All right. So like I said, man, I'm interested to see how you guys feel, what y'all thought about this, and your comments and your thoughts and opinions on everything. That's the most important thing, man. Let's get this stuff out on the table and let's move forward, and let's try to become one, man, and address these issues that obviously are going on and plaguing our society. All right. It's your boy L, man. Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. I love everybody. I meant to start with love, but let me make sure I end with love, man. That's how I've been starting these videos out, man. Starting with love, ending with love. Till the next reaction, man. I'm out. Peace. Y'all stay solid. Hey.